Happy swing, good soul. Still laughing about the previous video. I cracked myself up. I've got some gems that I need to go through and write down. Coronavirus is taking away the agency of the church. Oh, good God. So, as I was also saying in that other video that is being saved right now, I got my education from Joseph Smith. And so it's his words that I studied. It's his doctrines I studied. So Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, and Lectures on Faith, and other talks that were not put into the Doctrine and Covenants. And so let me give you some examples of Joseph Smith's words. Let's see, where was it? Oh, come on. Where was it? No, it was before this. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Why what the Father did? The answer is obvious. In a manner to lay down his body and take it up again. Jesus, what are you going to do? To lay down my life as my Father did, and take it up again. Do you believe it? If you do not believe it, you do not believe the Bible. The Scriptures say it, and I defy all the learning and wisdom and all the combined powers of earth and hell. See, Mormons, he says hell. He does not say H-E double hockey sticks, whatever you guys, or heck. That's even worse if you understood the origin of heck and hell. The Brits purposely said hell to avoid saying heck. It was actually hecky, but that's where it comes from. And so here in America, oh, we don't want to be like the Brits. We're going to say heck. And so there's one example of Joseph Smith's manner of speech. Now you understand where I get my manner of speech from. And I've also talked to you about Elijah with his contest with the priests of Baal. Is he taking a piss? Where is he? We'll give you more time. Alrighty. Let's see. I suppose I am not allowed to go into an investigation of anything that is not contained in the Bible. If I do, I think there are so many overwise men here that would cry treason and put me to death. So I will go into the old Bible and turn commentator today. Now remember, boys and girls of the Mormon Church, the current prophets, in fact it was Oaks, it's wrong to criticize the brethren even when the criticism is correct. They say that you can't criticize. And here Joseph Smith, the master. Look out South Park, look out Simpsons, here comes Joseph Smith. Quit circling, there's nothing to circle. And so this is what we're actually talking about here, is why I pursued studying ancient languages, because of Joseph Smith. And so he says, I shall comment on the very first Hebrew word in the Bible. There's a Hebrew version of the Bible? I only know the English version. I will make a comment on the very first sentence of the history of creation in the Bible. Beroshit. I want to analyze the word. Baith. In, by, through, and everything else. Rosh. The head. Sheet. Grammatical termination. When the inspired man wrote it, he did not put the Baith there. An old Jew, without any authority, added the word. He thought it too bad to begin to talk about the head. It read first, the head one of the gods brought forth the gods. That is the true meaning of the words. Bara signifies to bring forth. If you do not believe it, you do not believe the learned man of God. Learned men can teach you no more than what I have told you. Thus the head God brought forth the gods in the grand council. And yet the church has gone silent. They've covered this up. They refused to make it part of the Doctrine and Covenants. They took out the Hebrew that was in there originally. I guess the font in Hebrew didn't work with their website. And I don't think it does, because Psalm 119, where's the Hebrew? Okay, let me get religious freedom out of the way here. Let me silence religious freedom. Okay. And so this was it. This is what I started my quest to find out if Joseph Smith was correct, because he's either right or he's wrong. He's going to the actual Hebrew text. He's claiming to be making an actual translation. He's either right or he's wrong. Did you know the church says he's wrong? Louis Zucker gave a lecture at BYU. He's a professor that taught at the University of Utah. And so, yeah, Mormon apologists. Yeah, Joseph Smith didn't translate it. He was wrong. I never said that! Yes, you did, John. Yes, you did. And I just exposed you in front of your whole audience for your lecture about Joseph and his translations. But that's another story. But yeah, I figured it out. How did I do it? I had to decipher Paleo-Hebrew. Because as I've done videos on it before, married a Canadian, she took me to Canada, they gave us these cute babies for free, with their free health care. Come to Canada, where the health care is free. Get a baby for every visit. We'll pay you for the baby too. See, in Canada, it's not storks that deliver the babies. And so I went up to the University of Lethbridge to continue my education, and was just the first semester I tried to find a career field, and it utterly failed. And so I spent the rest of my time there taking courses that I was interested in. There was no degree for them, no major, so I just took whatever classes I was interested in. As the new book for the schedule came out, went through it. Oh, I want to take that class, take that class, take that class. That requires a prerequisite that I haven't taken. Who cares? I'll take it. They let me. And so that's what I was doing. And so my final year, it's actually after the first semester. It was right before the Christmas holiday, and so I had the one semester in the spring and then a summer to finish things off. But the guidance counselor or whatever called me in and said, "You've been here for 2 years, going straight through with summer school and such, but you don't have any major." And so she looked over my classes that I took and says, "You know what? We can create a dual bachelor's and also give you a minor, because we see you took Latin that one summer." I said, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And they provided a biblical Hebrew class for me. Ta-da! I now get to prove Joseph Smith is true. He's a translator. Not that easy, as it turns out. I had to go to Paleo-Hebrew. And it required the specific teacher that they assigned to teach the class. They happened to have a geology professor who had graduated from Harvard, who also had taken biblical Hebrew from Thomas O. Lambden. And those of you who have taken biblical Hebrew 20 years ago would know about Thomas O. Lambden, because his lesson manual was worldwide. Everybody learned biblical Hebrew from him. And so there I was, one of his students I got to learn from. And knowing that this was a one-time class specifically designed for me so that I can graduate with a major, which was a dual bachelor's and a minor, he purposely crammed everything he learned into that one semester class. And so he started off with Paleo-Hebrew and showed us some interesting features, but nobody could figure out a pattern to make it work for the whole language. And for example, this right here, that's somewhat well, yeah, I'd have to go into explaining it, but it's David, 2 D's, which are triangles in Paleo-Hebrew, and there's the outer ring, or the outer circle, that adds to it, but the star itself is known as the Jewish Star of David, because it spells David. It's the 2 D's, and they're combined together in a sun shape. sun star. And so those were the type of clues that he was showing us on the first day as an introduction. And so I spent my extra time trying to figure out how Joseph Smith made his translation. And I would bring my attempt day after day to class, and day after day he said no, no, and finally he got fed up and said, the Masoretes, who created the Masoretic text from 800 to 1000 AD, put the vowel points in there. Those vowel points provide only one translation outcome. You can't make multiple translations from it because of the vowel points. And that flipped the switch in my head. I got the light bulb turned on, and I figured it out. Because Deuteronomy says, don't add to the Bible. And yet, there the Masoretes were adding to the Bible. You might know it from the Gospels version of don't add a jot or tittle to the book, and that's also in Deuteronomy. And those are iota is the jot that's referred to. That's the Greek version of the Paleo-Hebrew, because Paleo-Hebrew and Greek are derived from the same source. And so I knew that Aramaic script was not going to help me, and I knew that I needed to devowel the whole dictionary of Hebrew words. And so that's part of my research, was going through devoweling Brown Driver Briggs's Hebrew English lexicon and creating a brand new devoweled dictionary. And then once I did that, I had known about Nokeraton from Joe Samson and is written by the finger of God. And so I performed a theory test for the alphabet, or for the vocabulary, rather, not the alphabet. I'd already deciphered the alphabet, which was cake. I can't believe William Foxwell Albright did what he did. That was just an embarrassment. And he's supposed to be the lead on this. And now they got the Brennan guy who's doing Proto-Sinaitic as the origin of Hebrew. No. And so I did the theory test with using Nokeraton, which is from Jewish mysticism. And little did I know that the Smiths were involved in Jewish mysticism. I only knew about it because of Joe Samson. And sure enough, the test showed that there was a potential pattern, but the test was incomplete because the vocabulary was incomplete. Because it's a 22-letter alphabet, you can have a vocabulary, but it's limited. And, it's, what is it, 22 to the power of 22? Is that the proper math formula to figure out the total number of vocabulary words you can come up with? And so, yeah, I made the whole list of potential alphabet or vocabulary words, and then plugged in the devoweled definitions into those places, and ran the theory test with the Nokeraton also. Yeah, you might be able to see it past my little zombies. See, the zombies are right there. That's the cylinder tower. Right here, this pile is all my research books, and I've done videos showing you about that and how it works, or what I've done. And so then once I got the vocabulary, then I went into a devoweled biblical Hebrew text, Paleo-Hebrew text technically, and started working on combinations. Back then, everything was all together. Bustafarian, is that I think that's what it's called in Greek, which has to do with as the cow plows. So a cow on the farm go down a row with a plow so that the farmer can go back and he plants the seeds as they plow, and then he turns around and goes this way. And they would do that in their writing. And so I did the test as all one sentence, and then broke it up to identify words and tried different combinations to find out which one was successful, which ones weren't successful. And yeah, big changes. But there were words there that I couldn't identify. Didn't quite know what they were. They were proper nouns, and in cases actually names. And I didn't know the name until Gary Greenberg came out with 101 Myths of the Bible. And I went, oh, they're Egyptian! Yeah. And so I realized that the biblical Hebrew text that we have was really messed up. That the actual translation isn't quite close. But having identified it with Egyptian, I went, oh, okay, so this is supposed to relate to this petroglyph, because I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs. And so I was able to then say, oh yeah, the Bible, that's talking about this petroglyph. Oh, it's supposed to be this translation, not, okay. So if you saw my video from yesterday, talking about Bible stories and how they aren't correct, you know, Esau given a salad rather than pottage, for example, that's why. Because I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs and discovered that the Bible stories come from the petroglyphs. And as a result, yeah, the B at the beginning messes everything up. Nothing worked having that B there. There is no Paleo-Hebrew word that starts with in, when, or whatever to justify the B. It doesn't work. And so, if it doesn't work, get rid of it. And yeah, then I found answers. Then I found translations that worked. Because now I had a noun, and a verb, and an object. But the verb was interesting. The T at the end is a feminine plural in Hebrew. In Egyptian, it's a feminine singular. So the head woman, or women technically, the head goddesses. But it doesn't work in the context because there's nothing to support it in the rest of the context. You have to change everything to make it the head goddesses. But what I did find was that the T is supposed to be attached before the verb, bara, because it's not created. That's past tense. There's no N at the beginning of bara. Past tense is N at the beginning of the verb. Present tense is the yod, the iota. And future tense is the T. Head will create or bring forth. Gods. Joseph Smith was right. Even though he uses the present tense, or actually past tense, brought forth. So he's kind of wrong, but he's on the right track. And so yeah, he can be considered a translator. But the church says no. And I come along and I say, hey, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, Joseph Smith is a translator, and it's an all-out war to silence me, shut me down, shut me up. And they disappeared me for 6 years of my life. I was blacklisted. They tried to have me excommunicated. And I'm going, what the hell? This is my church. This is the founder of my church. I'm showing he's right. And they're attacking me. And I then have since learned this isn't Joseph Smith's church. Remember in conference, I've been doing the little clip, this is not the church of Joseph Smith, by President Nelson. He was referring to something else, but not really. Because he says we're hinge pointing. A woman yesterday was offended that I would dare expose that. But yeah, they had no intention of following Joseph Smith or anything, of his doctrines, anything. So like on the other video, there is a distinct difference in doctrine. And so now you know the translation part of it. And why the church is so upset with me and doing all that they're doing to me lately with this lawsuit. Rather than just saying, there is no substance to his case, the judge is just going to dismiss it, we're safe, we're fine, we don't need to worry because we're innocent. No, instead, oh, let's cover up the money trail, let's send him death threats, let's torture him, shutting off his water, shutting down his internet, with little coded clues that it's them issuing the threat. You know, like trying to have me evicted on Friday the 13th. Oh my God. And yesterday, John D. Lee, and then after his comments of saying that I'm not faithful, my internet goes down from the 6th hour to the 9th hour when Jesus was on the cross and then died thereafter. So yes, innocent people do those kinds of things, don't they? And they don't even acknowledge that they're translators. In conference, pay attention, go back and listen. Not a single one of them are given the office of translator. You sustain with your vote that President Nelson is a prophet, seer, and revelator. And all the others who somehow got it are just prophets, seers, and revelators. That's it. That's all. No translator. Not a single one of them among them. Joseph Smith rocks. That's the church I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of this church. And they won't let me go to worship how I want. They instead claim, oh, this is who you want, but they take away my agency. Yeah, no.